This video will contain massive spoilers for Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, so if you're trying to avoid spoilers, be sure to see the movie and come back and watch this afterward. Oh my gosh, guys, I loved Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, so in today's video, I'll be showing you how to make all of the main characters using 100% official LEGO parts and pieces. With that being said, I had the great honor of being at the movie premiere in New York City. I got to meet several of the cast members, and seeing the movie early was just amazing. If you want to check out my vlog on the full experience, I'll link that down below, and I'll link it here as well, but I have been so excited to share these customs with you, so in this video, I'll be showing you how to make everybody using only official LEGO parts and pieces. Without any further ado, let's start busting some ghosts and get into this video. Alright, so the movie starts off with the awesome chase sequence with the Spangler family driving the Ecto-1 through New York. So, in order to build the main Spangler family in their Ghostbusters uniforms, I went ahead and used the Ghostbusters torsos. Of course, that makes the most sense, and we did get two different sets with two different torsos technically. So let's go ahead and use Phoebe as well as Callie as our examples here. You'll see that on Callie's suit, we actually got arm printing. They had the elbows and the pockets there on one side, and the Ghostbusters logo and the elbow guard on the other. So there are some slight variations between the torsos. I'm very fortunate that I own both the Ghostbusters Firehouse as well as the original Ecto-1, and this torso came from the Ecto-1, and this torso came from the Ghostbusters Firehouse with the arm patches and printing and all that. So whatever you have is what's going to work, but in order to do this showcase properly, you need as many Ghostbusters torsos as possible. Since Callie is the daughter of Egon, I gave her an Egon torso, and I also gave an Egon torso to Phoebe, but I only have two Egon torsos since I only have those two sets. So I had to get a little bit more creative for the others. For Gary, I gave him Venkman's torso. Not really any reason for that, I just did. And then I also gave a Venkman torso to Trevor, but I gave him the Slimer torso that came in the Ghostbusters Firehouse, because of course Trevor is the one that's kind of chasing down Slimer throughout the movie, so I thought it'd be a good reference to that and a good reason to use that torso on him. To build Mayor Walter Peck, I went ahead and used black legs. This regular torso, it's come in a lot of different places over the years, but that gives you the black vest with the tie and the white arms. The head comes from Lars from Star Wars The Force Awakens, and I used this pushed back kind of strawberry blonde hair. I don't really know what color I would call that actually, but regardless, that came on Anakin and Obi-Wan years ago, I believe, and it's come on Aldrich Killian. It's actually been in a lot of places, but I think this one turned out really good. Of course, Slimer pops up absolutely everywhere in this movie, and it's great to see him back, and this is just one of the Slimer minifigs that came out years ago. They actually did two versions, one from the Ghostbusters Firehouse as well as another from LEGO Dimensions, so whichever one you have will work just great, and I think this one turned out awesome. So up next, we have Phoebe's friend, the Ghost Girl. Now, as I mentioned, I was so fortunate to see this movie at the premiere, but I didn't think to write down her name. I was like, oh, I'll just look up what the character is on IMDb, and I'm making this video early before I can see the movie again, so I don't actually know the character's name at this point. Anyways, I used the torso from the Banshee character from the LEGO CMF Monster series, then I put some matching sand green legs on there, and then the head and the hair come from the Ghost Warrior Princess Girl from the CMF series as well, and for her matchbook, I went ahead and put a 1x1 yellow tile to reference the movie. It's not really great or easy to make characters that are ghostly in LEGO form just because we haven't gotten a ton of options, but given the options we have as of this video, I'm very happy with the way this one turned out. Alright, here we've got Ray in his casual outfit, and I was amazed at how much Ray is in this movie. He's my favorite Ghostbuster, and he was literally like a main character in the movie. I love that and was not expecting it. That being said, I gave him black legs with the torso from Lloyd from Lego Ninjago movie. Then I gave him this orb here in his hand for the Orb of Garraka. It's come in a lot of different places, but you can look up on Bricklink. I think it's been in like 7 or 8 different sets over the years, which is nice. Then the head is the Ray Stantz head from the original Ghostbuster set, and I gave him some swept-back brown hair. Now, the Funko Pop, it looks like he's got black hair, but my recollection of the movie is it's kind of like more brown than black. But either way, I'm very happy with how this turned out, given the pieces we can use at this time. Podcast has a really interesting, colorful outfit in this movie, so to build him, I used the mid-sized legs here, which if you don't know, are shorter legs that are still posable. Very cool that LEGO offers those now. The torso is kind of like a throwback with that Marty McFly torso from back in the day, with short-sleeved red arms that have come in several different places. He's got his Indiana Jones side satchel, the head from Shang-Chi, and some spiky black hair to tie it all together. Speaking of podcasts, now is a good time to talk about making the mini Stay Puffs. Now, of course, this isn't perfectly to scale. In fact, I think that these little dudes from Frozen are actually much better scale, but of course they're nowhere near as accurate. So what I did here is I used the head and torso from the official Stay Puff Marshmallow Man from LEGO Dimensions years ago. Then I used a 1x1 stud on both sides as well as a 1x1 little flat plate brick in order to build him miniature legs. So he is shorter than the main characters, but not quite to scale. Really, again, the best scale is this little guy from Frozen, but of course the accuracy is always going to be with the official Stay Puft, so I'm curious what you guys think and what you guys would prefer to use for your builds. Here we've got Nadeem, who plays a bigger role in this movie than I expected, which is quite cool, but this is his casual outfit. I just used this regular torso from City, just to give him like a blue jacket. You could really use anything you've got in your collection. Then I used black legs and the hands, head, and not quite the hair, I just used regular black hair, but the hands and head come from the same actor's character Kingo from the Eternals from Marvel, so that worked out pretty good. You know, I love to do that when an actor has been in multiple different movies. I try to use the same head unless they have like different facial hair or something, so it worked out really well in this case. Here we've got Janine in her casual outfit, and to keep things simple, I went ahead and used the regular Janine minifigure from the Ghostbusters Firehouse from back in the day, but I used this hair to update it. I actually am not 100% sure where it came from or what minifigure, but it's the Harry Potter hair in like an orangish red color. Here we've got businessman Winston in his regal suit, and in order to build this, I used this torso. I believe it came from Alien Conquest, if not just some generic city sets back in the day, with dark blue legs and the hands, hair, and head from Old Man Lando from Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. I think that this is a good way to show Winston's aged, although honestly, Ernie Hudson looks so great even at his current age that you could probably just use the regular Winston head and hair, but I did want to show that, you know, he was the same age as the other Ghostbusters, generally speaking, so I went with something a little bit older. Let me know what you guys think. Here we've got Lucky and Lars, who of course work for Winston, and I think these turned out pretty good. I used the legs and torsos from the Star Wars Engineer characters. You'll see the torsos are slightly different. I wanted to do that so you could see that, you know, there are different options just using the same general character. Then for the hands and hair, of course I made sure it matched for both characters, but for Lucky, I used the head from Ironheart from the Black Panther Wakanda Forever sets, with the hair from Mordo from the Sanctum Sanctorum. I think the hairstyle works perfectly, but of course in the movie her hair is dyed blonde, so it works really, really well. I think as far as like what piece we have for the general look, although the color isn't perfect. And for Lars, I used Harry Potter's head with some styled blonde hair that's come in a lot of different places. I think it came on like a dog trainer from the CMFs, but yeah, that's what I used for these two. Here we've got Hubert Wartski, aka Patton Oswalt's character, and I thought he did a really good job with the little bit of screen time he had in the movie. So what I used here are some regular black legs. I used this torso from, I think it's from Lego City. I always get this messed up. I always think it's from Snake from Simpsons, but it's not. So it's just from Lego City or Ninjago or something like that. Pretty basic torso, a lot of options out there you could use. He does have short sleeves rolled up in the movie, so I used these arms from Finn from Adventure Time Lego Dimensions. Then I gave him a scary looking book from Harry Potter, the head from Bruce Banner from Infinity War or Thor Ragnarok, and some swept-back gray hair to finish the look. Of course, it's around that same point of the movie that we see the library ghost again, which was such an awesome Easter egg. And for this, I of course used the regular library ghost minifigure that came with the Ghostbusters Firehouse back in the day. Of course, as we get toward the end of the movie, we have the original Ghostbusters suited up again, which is never not going to be awesome. For each one, I used the Ghostbusters Firehouse versions of the figures because, again, those are the ones that got the detailed arm printing, so you gotta love that. And we've already looked at Winston and Ray as far as where the head and hair came from, but this is our first time making Venkman in the showcase, so what I used here is this old hair, the receding hairline hair that's come in lots of places like Doctor Who and Gwen Stacy's dad from Spider-Man. It's been in a lot of sets. And the head comes from Belloc from Indiana Jones, as well as from Alexander Pierce from the Avengers Tower, so that's been in quite a few places too. And one other thing is, we of course got proton packs back in the day. There are instructions for these online, but I haven't put the proton packs on any figures because it does weigh them down, so it makes them a little difficult to have on camera. But since Murray is standing here on the studs, we can do that. And one other cool thing is the ghost trap design we got back in the day. You can see it's very simple with only 3 pieces, but I figured I'd show you a ghost trap too, because if you don't have the Ghostbusters, you could build a ghost trap very, very easily, and I think that that has aged exceptionally well. And of course, we get to see Melnitz in uniform, which is absolutely awesome. So this one's really simple. You could just use any of the Ghostbuster torsos. Then, of course, the head and hair combo I recommended for Janine earlier. Super easy and definitely essential to the team. And of course, the Ghostbusters have the awesome red jackets. They didn't wear them in the movie as much as I expected based off of like the marketing and all that, but of course we want to build them in Lego form, and thankfully, these were actually very cheap to get on Bricklink because they came in some Lego City Arctic sets, so like on an Arctic photographer, for example, in a very cheap set, so it cost me about $5 for all of these torsos. You could probably shop around for a better deal, but I had to look for a store that had 4 of them in stock, so if you shop around for some deals, you could probably do pretty good on these. And thankfully, because the original Ghostbusters torsos, or just the minifigs in general, are so expensive, the really nice thing here, of course, is that these are significantly cheaper, and you still get the Ghostbusters look without paying the Ghostbusters price, which I love, and of course, that's one of my favorite things about the channel, is helping you guys complete your collections. So, that's really awesome, and I love the way the red jackets look. Now, of course, that brings us to our main villain, the Ghost Garraka, and I am so happy with the way this turned out. I did have to break the purist method a little bit with this helmet, which I think came from one of the, like, underwater, like, Atlantis themes or something like that, and you can see I took the front piece of the helmet off, but that way you do get kind of like a very, horn helmet thing going on. The head comes from Hidden Side. The long blue arms come from the Na'vi from the Avatar sets with black hands on the bottom. And my favorite part is turning the cloak from the Dune Ornithopter set inside out. That way you kind of get like a bony structure that you could see from the other side of the printing, yet you still get this gray-white vibe that the character has in the movie. Probably my favorite part about this build, though, is how I went about adding the horns to the back of the head. You could see I put a neck bracket there with a 1x1 jumper, or a 1x2 jumper, excuse me, and a 1x1 with a little bow tie there that has the holes to hold these horns in. Those horns have come in lots of different Lego sets over the years, namely from stuff that has Venom in it, but then when you look at it from the front, it makes it look like the horns are coming out of the side of the head. I literally could not be more happy with the way this one turned out, and I hope you guys like it too. Alright guys, let me know what you thought of these customs down below. If you haven't already, be sure to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video.